So, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Mohammed Sheikh here. As I like to do, whenever I see youth, taking up that leadership position, taking up that self-drive, that self-initiative, especially when it comes to, what we call social entrepreneurs and making a difference and making an impact in the world, I like to promote this stuff. And I like to, get awareness to, of course, encourage what they're doing and also to encourage all youth out there as well. So, I think you're probably going to be watching this on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to spread this as much as possible. So who I have here with me today is 4 high school students. You guys are all in grade 11, right? Okay, perfect. Who are doing something pretty cool, and I wanted to share it with you. So I've got Faizan here. You'll notice that he has the same last name as me. So yes, he is my nephew. But we also have his friends, Ruqayyah, Sobiah, and Abuzar. And I'm going to let them sort of kind of delve into it in terms of the organization and the project that they started, why they started it, and kind of like the story behind it. So who wants to kind of want to jump in and tell us all about the organization?
All right, I can start off.
Sure, go ahead, Faizan.
It was just me, Ruqayyah, and Sobiah. I know we're looking for volunteer hours, especially me because I'm in grade 11, but I didn't do any in grade 10 or 9, so I kind of needed it. And then during this unprecedented time of the pandemic, it's hard to find opportunities in person, right? So we wanted to create an organization to help people like me or any other students to find opportunities during this time.
Okay. Yeah. So how does this what's the name of the organization?
The name is VWatcherz or Volunteer Watcherz.
Okay. All right. So the 4 of you guys basically got together. How long has this organization been existing for?
We started early January 2021. So
okay,
it's been like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. What are the roles? Have you guys sort of split up the responsibilities and the duties? Who does what?
So the founder of we all kind of founded this, but the main founder is Ruqayyah, and she's also the outreach lead. And correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I'm the director of operations.
Yeah, director of operations. And then Sobiah is the co-founder and is the outreach lead in this case. And then Faizan is the co-founder as well and the partnership lead, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like partnership lead, and I do marketing.
Yeah. And then I'm a co-founder and a media lead. So that has to do with social media and the website, stuff like that.
All right. So why don't I go one by one and get you guys to sort of expand upon, the roles that you guys are responsible for and what you actually do and where you're hoping to take this thing. So Ruqayyah, why don't we start with you then? So tell us a little bit about your day-to-day duties.
Yeah, sure. So should I start off with the organization itself?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So in January, we had this sort of meeting with our facilitator, our youth facilitator at school, and he was basically talking about how we should all be volunteering during this time, especially to get universities to notice us and to see that we've taken charge during these unprecedented times, like Faizan said. So I realized that a lot of my classmates didn't have volunteering opportunities in that time, and I realized that in the summer, I had taken a lot of virtual volunteering roles. And so I decided to basically help students like Faizan and Sobiah find volunteering roles that would be beneficial to them. And then I realized that the demand was kind of growing for these volunteering roles. And that's when I asked Faizan and Sobiah and Abuzar to just join me and create this organization. So what I do in my position as the founder and director of operations is basically just laying the foundation for this organization and helping everyone else in their roles and, pushing this initiative forward. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. What about you, Sobiah?
Since I'm like the outreach lead, I normally go and look for volunteer opportunities in the type of sense, and also look for students who would be able to like take part in these opportunities. Because obviously on one hand, we have like the partnerships and like the people that we like, you know, find in organizations that need people to volunteer for them. And then on the other hand, we have students that need to get volunteer hours. So we try to like connect the two. And that's like what I'm here for.
Okay. All right. So how do you reach out to, I guess, the students and potential organizations that need volunteer work?
For students, right now we're mainly focusing on our school before doing more expansion onto other schools. So, you know, either it's social media or it's using Google Classroom or using Google Hangouts. We would try to like communicate to them with that. And for organizations, we'll either do like Slacks or we'll look at like their Instagrams and other profiles and try to connect with them through there.
Okay. All right. Abuzar, you mentioned social media. So is that kind of like a passion of yours, or?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm quite notorious for creating sites in my social circles. So I mean, I created a couple sites so far that were for my school, and then Volunteer Watcherz kind of quote unquote hired me to kind of create a site for them as well. And alhamdulillah, we did create a site, and it's, I mean, that's my passion, and that's what I see in the future, that's my job, as in creating sites for others, for community members as well. And yeah, so I wasn't initially part of this organization, but of course, due to our networking and our communications, I was brought into this amazing opportunity.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's great. And then Faizan, tell me about partnerships.
So although I'm the partnership lead, I pretty much do things that are like all around the organization. So me and Abuzar, we made a couple of video ads for the organization to post on Instagram and our YouTube and to display to our school. I also helped, we created a whole giveaway for our school to get more followers. So I helped with that. And I help with a lot of the planning for the organization. And I make a bunch of Instagram posts on Canva for it. And then as far as the partnership lead goes,
yeah,
I email other organizations who sign up on our website to partner with us. And I just follow up with them to confirm the partnership and tell them about how our system works.
Okay. All right. And what kind of a response do you get from these sort of organizations?
Yeah, so far the ones I've emailed, they came to our website and pressed the button at the top. It's like partner with us. So they are the ones initially reaching out. So they're excited when we respond and we offer to accept. And then we have the system in place that makes it more convenient for the people that volunteer with us, and it can hold them responsible for their hours. So what we do is, instead of them personally tracking their hours with their organization, they track the hours through us, through our Google spreadsheet, and then we give them the hours rather than the organization, which just makes the whole process easier for anyone that volunteers through us.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool, pretty streamlined. I mean, so as I sort of mentioned, I do a lot of coaching for, you know, organizations, for individuals, and some of my clients are like, you know, big shot CEOs of some pretty big companies here in the Toronto area. You all sound like I'm talking to, you know, these entrepreneurs or these CEOs of these big organizations, but you're 16 years old. Am I right? Or around that?
Yeah.
Right? Not quite. Yeah. Okay. Anyone 17?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're all, you're 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So we're 17, 16 years old. This is, you know, honestly, I'm impressed and I'm inspired by what you guys are doing. So here's a question. Out of curiosity, was this, you know, before you started this organization, but was this always kind of in the background that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was it more about just you believe in making a difference, making an impact in the world? You know, if you guys kind of want to do round robin, I'll start off with you, Sobiah. You know, just kind of how was this something that already aligned to maybe a personal goal or a vision you had?
To be honest, I didn't want to become like an entrepreneur specifically,
Yeah.
but I like to like, you know, help around, help my friends, you know, like they'll tell me, oh, I need help with this. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing. So when Ruqayyah reached out to me and was talking to me about this idea, like that's why I was super hands-on to it, because she is a close friend of mine. And like I knew that like if it was her idea, she knows that there's like something behind it, that there's passion behind it. So I wanted to help her out with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. And, you know, before we hit the record button, you were telling us how, you know, the eventual goal is for you to become a physician, right? So definitely the desire to help people and make a difference is part and parcel of you, right? That's awesome. Abuzar, what about you? Is this kind of like, is it just, you know, here's an opportunity for me to make some websites, or, you know, where do you see yourself?
So I did have a plan to create my own business, to be more self-based, right? To work for my own self. And I was trying to gain experience by seeing different nonprofit organizations and by supporting our school and creating different sites. And so this kind of fit so many of my aspirations, like of course to become a website developer, to become a computer science, and to actually make a change in the community. I mean, personally myself, I did little to no hours of community involvement prior to COVID. And honestly, since COVID came in, I think the advantage of online volunteering was something quite new, and it went quite a long way. And so creating a whole organization based on that, and based on the demand that is present for it, is quite amazing.
All right, super cool. What about you, Faizan? Over to you.
All right, so you know that I've always been interested in like video editing, and then remember I had a YouTube channel in like grade 3.
Yeah, and by the way, if you've seen any of other my videos, that short sort of my logo popping in, that intro outro, that was designed by this guy. So he made that.
So you know how I've always been interested in video editing, like the Fiverr thing where I could edit logos just like the one I did for you, for people. And so I've always had an interest in kind of like outreaching to more people, and also running a business, and like Abuzar said, being able to work for myself. And that especially became prevalent starting like 2020. I definitely knew I wanted to do some kind of thing in entrepreneurship. And then I saw this as a great way to both give back to the community and to gain experience for entrepreneurship, like marketing and creating posts and providing a service.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? You know, this is exactly what it is. It's the best sort of learning. Ruqayyah, and yourself, I saw you sort of nodding your head when I was asking that question, but let us know.
So, to be honest, I've never been interested in being an entrepreneur, but when I joined high school and I started doing initiatives like DECA, I started realizing that it was a kind of building interest in me, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the future, possibly open my own clinic, possibly even like a hospital if I could. And since there aren't that many entrepreneurs in my own family, I didn't really have that guidance at home. But in the high school environment and Olive Grove with Mr. Malik and with the DECA community, I realized that I had that kind of support, and I had that kind of like that thing to like push me and become something that I've never thought of, or something that I've never seen in my own family. So yeah, that's kind of why I decided to put together Volunteer Watcherz.
Yeah, cool. That's inspiring me too. You know, maybe there's an opportunity for, I know there's a lot of organizations that kind of do some work about in terms of mentoring you. So you guys are familiar with Max Mentors, for example. If you've heard of them, you should definitely look them up. Max organization, right?
How does that Max Mentorship work?
Yeah, so I think the mentorship, the age is more for the university and post-university crowd, but you know, you can get mentorship at, I mean, and it's all volunteers. So these people are leaders in their industry. So you can actually have a physician, you know, mentor you, Sobiah. You can have a psychologist, you know, mentor you, Ruqayyah, and, you know, you can have an entrepreneurship or, you know, mentor you, Faizan, and you can have kind of like a web designer who runs his own shop, you know, for you, Abuzar, right? So there are definitely initiatives out there, but I think this is inspiring me also. As I said, you know, I have a passion for youth. And I'm going to be doing some stuff that's kind of on the DL right now because it's not officially announced, but stuff that's more focused for the youth going to be coming up. So, but anyways, that's a different conversation. So tell me, how many kids have kind of gone through, benefited from the organization that you created?
Okay, so based on the data that we have, there are a couple organizations that we have a strong connection with, and especially those that we have partnered with as well. So most of our students actually got into there. So I would say approximately 15 to 20 students that are probably benefiting off our program. And something that we actually learned from afterwards was there might be some students that are working for us. I mean, working with Volunteer Watcherz, but we actually don't know. So we had to create a data system on how we can collect data, on how we can know who is actually volunteering with our organization.
Okay.
So overall, probably 15 to 20 students.
Okay, that's awesome, right? And it just kind of goes up from there. Looks like Faizan, you want to say something?
And keep in mind that right now we're only focusing on our school, and we haven't expanded to other schools yet, but we plan to do so in the future. But those 15 to 20 are only from our school.
Yeah, and absolutely. As the word gets out, and those of you that are watching this video, please, share this because I know for, Ontario, I think it's a requirement to graduate, right? I don't know if that's all of Canada, right? I don't know if you know that.
I know it's 40 hours here in Ontario. I'm guessing that, I don't know exactly, but I'm guessing that other provinces are similar.
Probably the same thing. So what kind of volunteer jobs are folks getting? Like what is virtual volunteerism? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so virtual volunteering, it consists of so many things that you can't exactly put a label on it. You could really do whatever your passion is if you just look in the right place. And that's what we're kind of trying to do, is put all of these opportunities and all of these roles listed for all of these students so that they can look for their interests and they can, decide then, okay, I want to go into IT design, I want to go into communications, I want to go into outreach, graphic design. There's just a plethora of opportunities. So, never limit yourself is what I would think.
Okay, pretty cool. If anyone knows anyone that would like to get some volunteer hours learning hypnosis to deal and help with stress, anxiety, PTSD, trauma, depression, any sort of mental health stuff, but a very different approach, send them my way. I'd be happy to mentor and coach.
All right, well,
yeah.
What do you want your organization to be called?
Well, it's Coach the Mind, right? You can.
Oh yeah, Coach the Mind for sure.
Yeah. There we go. Faizan's already on me. Love it. As the good partner manager that he is. Okay, this is great. And I mean, the other big thing that I wanted to share with everyone is you guys are competing for a contest. There's a competition that's happening. It's called Remarkable Students. And you have entered this competition. And there's a bit of a cash reward that's up for grabs for, can you tell me a bit more about, remarkable students and what they're looking for and the types of people that are, joining and entering that contest and competing? Who wants to go? Ruqayyah, go ahead.
Go ahead. So the Remarkable Students competition is being led by Student Life Network. And over the last few years, they have gotten a very large following. So the Remarkable Students competition is more so of a new one, and they're basically just asking for any startups, any organizations, any passions that students have collected or created during this pandemic. And so we decided to apply to them. The other participants and entrants, there are a lot of them, and their passions really vary. I couldn't just place a pin on it, but there is the top one, Coffee with Craner, and he's basically just doing calls with entrepreneurs so that students can learn from their advice. So we just have to show that we are worth it, and inshallah, we will be winning the cash reward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how much again?
So it's $5,000 for the monthly awards, and then you will be put in the Project of the Year award running. So then that would add up to 10,000 for the final winner.
Okay, and any plans for how you're going to spend that money?
Yeah, we definitely have plans. So we realized ever since we started this organization that we need a lot of funding to, get those platforms that are very good, like, Typeform, to promote ourselves on Instagram, to promote ourselves on LinkedIn as well. So to get all of this premium treatment from these platforms, we really need to have that funding, which we don't have right now. But once we win that cash reward, inshallah, we will definitely be investing that there, and also in our own, to going towards university. We're going to need that money and to fund us and to, give us that push to keep going.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. It reminds me the last time I was really inspired by this, where I can't remember their names, but it was an event that I went to about a couple of years ago, and they were guest speakers, and they were just like you guys, high school students that started up an initiative. I think it was called Pick Waste, but it was basically getting the youth to volunteer and just picking up trash around everywhere. And they had moved within the first 2.5 years. It was something like almost 20 tons of garbage, that was properly recycled and thrown away, that they were just kind of picking up from, the ground, from all the litter that was out there. So, maybe I think they do a podcast. So maybe if I can find a way to get in touch with them, connect you, because this is how you support each other, right? It's all about the network, and it's all about kind of just getting that awareness out there. That's awesome. So I guess, what we're going to end with is I'm going to just go one by one. If you have any bits of advice for other 16, 17-year-olds that you'd like to share and give to them, what would it be? So starting off with you, Sobiah. Or you, Abuzar. Okay, Sobiah. Go ahead, Abuzar.
Okay, so, I mean, just like myself, before I entered grade 9, before I entered secondary school, like if someone was to ask me who I was to be, I would probably say, I don't know. Okay, and I think that's quite a traditional answer an average 14-year-old would probably give. But as I moved on into secondary school, and with different programs and different opportunities that did open up, I realized that, take on every opportunity that you get. Even if you don't have the skill set to actually counter that or actually fulfill that, just take it for the experience. I mean, DECA is a great example. At first, I was like, what was this going to do if I wanted to be an entrepreneur? Of course, it has some connection there. But then, so I gave it a try, and it turned out to be quite successful. Of course, first time you fail, and for every time, if you want to win, you have to lose a bit as well, right? So yeah. So to sum up, is basically if you get an opportunity, just take it on. If you don't have the skill set to actually fulfill it, then just do it for the experience.
Yeah, I love what you said. And if you want to win, you have to lose as well, right? So that's sort of a mentality. That's amazing. Love it. And everything else, of course, that you said as well. Who wants to go next? Faizan.
Sure. Okay, so my advice is take action first and plan along the way that you go. So if we were just planning Volunteer Watchers forever and just like thinking about it and making plans for the posts we would have, then we might not have taken action right away and helped the people that we have helped. But because we took action, and this applies for overall like all businesses, organizations, and opportunities, as Abuzar said, just take action right away and then plan as long you go, because you'll never know what obstacles you can face without actually doing the thing, without actually pursuing the opportunity. And you don't learn how to ride a bike by planning about how to ride a bike. You learn how to ride a bike by actually riding a bike. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's, again, amazing advice. You know, when I started up my business back in 2011, the IT business, you know, there was people around me that were like, you need to have a business plan first. You need to do this. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to deal with the business plan later. Let me just pick up the phone and start calling. Right? I still don't have a business plan, and we're going to be celebrating 10 years, right? So, yeah, you got to take action. Ultimately, success is for the ones who take action and implement. Love it. Who wants to go next? Sobiah, Ruqayyah. Who's reaching Ruqayyah? There we go.
I could go next. So I guess the advice that I would have, especially for younger students in high school, is don't sit back and relax. Don't get used to that, because if you get used to that, you're not going to be able to push yourself once you get into those higher grades, when people are really looking for that responsibility and for that initiative from you. You're not going to be able to fulfill that. And also, just everybody has potential. That's what I think. Everybody has the ability to do something great. They just have to see it in themselves, and they have to push themselves far enough. I know that, myself included, I need to keep continuing to push myself, because the potential that I have, I know is great, but I just need to continue on that path. So that's the advice I would have for younger students especially.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Definitely potential. It's a limit, you know. So my background is in something called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. But, you know, one of the things you learn from that is limitations are never in the world. They're always in our mental models of the world, right? So, and as someone that's looking to be a psychologist, I know you understand that exactly. That's awesome. Sobiah, last but definitely not least.
Mine's going to be a little bit contradictory to what Ruqayyah just said, but for me, it's more about listening to yourself and like understanding when you do need to take breaks and when you do need to step back a little bit, because yeah, you can like hustle and like work super hard, especially with like the society we live in today. They're like, oh, always hustle, don't sleep, don't do anything else. But you should look at yourself and see like, oh, if this is too much for me, I should take a break, because that's healthy for you in the long term. And that can also like help you do better in the future as well, instead of just being burnt out. Because even now, especially during COVID, a lot of students have gotten burnt out because of how much work they did. So it's good to like plan out a little bit and like spread yourself out and not be super hard on yourself either.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that was contradictory at all. I think they're, you know, both supportive statements. It reminds me of someone. It wasn't me who came up with this, but, you know, ultimately we are human beings and not human doings, right? And we have, you know, behind every behavior, there is an emotional need. And once we become aware of what, you know, and why we're actually doing what we're doing, it gives us the opportunity to be intelligent with our actions. Sobiah, you'll appreciate this. One of the things that I learned many years ago was I became really good at saying no to absolutely everything and everyone. That's my default answer, is no. And once I started practicing that, I then had the space and the time and the ability to say yes to the people, the initiatives, and the projects that are really important, right? Which is how, I mean, I just found out about this first thing in the morning, right? Today. And here we are, not even 12 hours later, having a conversation to do this. I didn't have a packed schedule, you know, me running around, but I made the time for this because I could, and because I believe in it, because it's important. So thank you for that. Honestly, this has been such an inspiring conversation. I am super motivated by what you guys are doing, you know, and I have lots of faith and lots of hope in our future. So this is good. Keep doing it. Keep inspiring. Keep spreading the light. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.